Our authoritarian and neoliberal self-love and in-group favoritism implies self as well as in-group aggrandizement and the devaluation of the othered person as well as othered groups.
Welcome to Deconstructing Necroliberalism.
You've probably heard of stereotyping, which is involved here. That means we adopt generalized beliefs that all members of a group, and especially outgroups, will have certain characteristics. All of them are this and that. In other words, we homogenize outgroups. Simultaneously, we perceive our in-group as extremely diverse. They are a queer-hating society, while ours is claimed to be so diverse to also have queer-loving subgroups. A concession and diversity claim about us never granted to them. They have a trans-hating candidate. Their whole party is unelectable. Meanwhile, our presidential candidate supports state laws that are deadly for trans people. But that certainly wasn't meant that way, and that certainly doesn't reflect our party's standpoint, and that certainly won't be translated into politics. They're always desystemizing and artificially singularizing excuses for what we do, but never rational explanations for their actual singular missteps. Moreover, while you make baseless generalizations about them, you might falsely believe your beloved party to be politically more diverse than it actually is, and can be, considering that it needs strong party line holding to get bills passed in our system. You might even mistake AOC for a lefty, for example, although she's supporting genocide Harris and the Dems who put forward sexual predators like Clinton and embrace neocon war criminals like Cheney, disincentivizing you to vote for actual lefties. Just because you believe in the diversity of your in-group party, that doesn't exist. She really isn't like that. So we not only use stereotyping for the othered person and the othered group, but also another form of generalizing. We believe their failures are down to their personality, respectively that their failures are inherent in their culture or religion, while we believe our own failures and our in-group's failures to be situational and contextual only, singular, individual, isolated failures, not systemic or inherent in our belief system, our superior, unbiased and rational worldview. While we believe that our failures are contextual only, we believe that our successes are down to our personality, respectively culture, systemically caused due to our supposed superiority. In other words, we believe that our favorite in-group party, that which we listen to very often, and therefore, thanks to repetition bias, false belief to be more truthful and superior than those we haven't regularly followed and seen, might have some bad apples and some bad ideas and make some bad choices and need to make some tough decisions. But it means well and is an inherently better party and choice than others. On the other side, we watch the outgroup party, which is mostly excluded from our perception, through a magnifying glass, when we see it, always unconsciously looking for a tiny little mistake, which we then magnify, exaggerate, and generalize, interpret as a sure sign of inferiority. Theirs is a trans-hating party you cannot possibly vote for, and they just don't know how to do politics. Dems, on the other hand, might be led by a bad but nevertheless electable apple, and are successful. They are experts in politics. If we unconsciously view a person or group as having a negative trait, as we unconsciously do with all outgroups, this negative impression will spill over into all other traits. All outgroups become all negative in our view. Again, it's a self-reinforcing cycle. Meanwhile, when we unconsciously view a person or group as having a positive trait, which we unconsciously do when they are like us, when they are mirrors or repetitions of us or our belief system, members of our in-group, this positive impression will spill over into their other traits, and we'll find excuses for everything they do. This difference between the perception of in and out groups is vital. It explains so much in politics, of systemic marginalizations and beyond. It's always this difference between the systemically marginalized and the systemically privileged, this massive systemic power imbalance, which causes fears and skepticism about the real violence actually experienced by the systemically marginalized, versus the only imagined and feared violence in the minds of the systemically privileged. And it's exactly this difference between in and out group, or the often only unconsciously categorized as such, which decides whether or not we believe someone that their experienced violence is real and permanent and really as bad as they say, and whether or not it's appropriate for them to want us to draw consequences also in voting. In short, it's this authoritarianly created difference between in and out groups which determine that we by far do not truly and fully understand the othered, their sufferings, our system which causes their sufferings, and our responsibilities for it.